Hello, I'm Simon Owens, and you're listening to The Business of Content, a podcast about how publishers create, distribute, and monetize their digital content. Today, we're talking about social media influencers and what brands are doing to detect bots and other fraudulent activity before they hire these influencers to promote their products. The influencer marketing industry is estimated to generate $2 billion a year, with $1.6 billion coming from Instagram influencers alone. That number is only set to increase, with 39% of marketers saying they plan to increase their influencer marketing budget this year. It's now pretty much impossible to open up Instagram or YouTube without seeing hashtag sponsored posts popping up from your favorite stars, from Kim Kardashian all the way down to food Instagrammers who only have a few thousand followers. But whenever there's this much money on the line, you always have people who are trying to game the system. It's incredibly easy these days to inflate your follower count by purchasing bots or engaging in other kinds of shady activity. If you're a company who's thinking of hiring a social media influencer, how can you ensure that their followers are real? Well, you'll probably turn to someone like Eric Schwab, the COO of a company called Silo. Silo is a tech platform that can scan social media accounts and detect fraudulent activity. I interviewed Schwab about the state of social media influencer fraud and how his platform is able to tell when an Instagram account is propped up by an army of bots. Let's jump right into it. Hey, Eric, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you run a company that's involved in influencer marketing. To start with, can you kind of give us a 30,000-foot view of what is influencer marketing?
Sure. So it's perhaps you might have, I think all of us have seen over the years, maybe the billboards from YouTube and YouTube stars that have sort of broke through and garnered tens of millions of followers. That now has sort of spread to what are now called Instagram stars and Facebook stars, Twitter stars. They're individuals that have gained popularity by producing content through these social channels. And as mentioned, some of them have captured tens of millions of followers watching and engaging with them, all the way down now to what are called micro-influencers, which are people in our local communities who are sort of the local experts on different topics.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like, what their title denotes is that somehow a recommendation or some kind of endorsement from them carries more weight than if like a brand were to just simply run something on their own account and then put like some ad spin behind it, that somehow by one of these quote unquote influencers recommending their product in some way that carries more heft.
Yes. What we like to say, and not just us at Silo, but certainly what we like to the creator community, they're creators, they're content creators. What they do when they work with a brand is classified, quote, as influencer marketing, or as we sort of describe it, that's the ad unit. And you're absolutely right that the reason why brands, again, come to them is because they have an ability to really again, influence their followers on behalf of the brand, for the brand in terms of, it could be things like helping, generate more awareness for a new product that's come out, or increase, favorability and engagement with their product and messaging, and certainly ultimately driving sales. And we've seen some great examples of that in the retail and consumer packaged good industry, where particular content creators, i.e. influencers, are partnering up with the likes of Nordstrom and developing their own clothing lines, and these clothing lines are selling out. So I think we start to see the full impact from having followers to all the way to what that really does. And anybody who's ever gone or attended one of the largest conferences in this space called VidCon, you really get an up close and personal understanding of just how connected they are with these fans.
And this isn't entirely new, right? Like celebrity endorsements have existed forever. And also in terms of working with brands like Kanye West and, Michael Jordan working with shoe companies to develop their own products and stuff. This has already existed, but I guess you would say that, the rise of social media, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter has kind of really expanded the marketplace, created a bunch of kind of more niche influencing. And that's why there's a kind of like this is its own kind of product category?
It is, because I think, we look at the data all the time, and the data clearly speaks to that. Look, at Kanye West, he became famous because he obviously of his talents behind creating music, and then some other things that he eccentrically does, as an individual. But his follower base, right, they're not there because Kanye produces great, amazing online content and engages with them, right? That's not the reason to follow or look at Kanye. Whereas conversely, when you look at a content creator, well, they didn't have any of that, right? They started a YouTube channel however many years ago, and they started pouring their time and their energy, right, into developing engaging content, and then spending their time developing and cultivating that relationship with people who started to follow them or subscribe to their channel. And that is very fundamentally different, right? And that's why when we look at, again, the data between, say, a celebrity and an influencer in terms of the advertising impact, it is not even close.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that there's like a blending that's happening right now, because like Cardi B is an example I can think of, someone who, started on as kind of like a digital native and then transferred to more mainstream success.
Definitely. I think that there's always the appeal, right, of quote, crossing over and doing a television show, a book deal, a movie, et cetera, becoming, quote, a celebrity in their own right, like we would classify in the traditional sense. So I do think that is happening, but there's still so much opportunity that, in the current world, right, where I think what marketers are understanding is that it's how you use them. What is that right marketing mix between, say, hiring the Kanyes and Beyoncés and Justin Timberlakes of the world, and then utilizing their large social followers, right, to kind of, I look at it like hit a lot of reach, right, potentially hit a lot of eyeballs. But yeah, go ahead.
So how did you get interested in influencer marketing? What's your background?
So I started in online video back in end of 2005, 2006, and was at a company called Mania TV, and we were doing live streaming original content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I thought that this looked like the future to me back then, of where media and immersive media and video was going to be kind of a big thing. So I made my bet that this was going to be, and over the years have really worked. I've had the pleasure of working with people like LeBron James and DJ Tiesto or people like that, and distribution outlets. And then sort of recently, probably back many years ago, really started to see the traction that these online content creators were garnering, and more brands started to pay more attention to what was happening. And I started working with them quite heavily in terms of understanding their audiences and how they were partnering with brands. And then spending my time, obviously, working with national brand advertisers, global brand advertisers. I started to, see the pain points that any new industry that is going from sort of experimental to try to being more mature goes through. And sort of that's how I got into it, was just, been in video a long time, believe in the power of it. And, once you start getting into the weeds with what's really happening on these channels, you see things that within, video 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't there. And it's just exciting to see the impact when it is done correctly. And that, to me, is what I ultimately was chasing, was the best form of, advertising.
And can you give me a sense of how big influencer marketing is? Like, is this like an industry that's like in the billions of dollars a year?
It is. Last year, I want to say the projections were somewhere north of $1 billion. This year's projections are that of over 2.
Wow, so it's exponential at this point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the projections over the next 5 years have the potential of influencer marketing growing up to, $8 to $10 billion being spent, with influencers to develop content. I think we just saw some recent studies come out around just content marketing in general, and it's dramatic, continued rise up. And this sort of kind of fits in that, because again, that's what marketers are doing when working with content creators on influencer marketing is they're developing content together. So it's exciting. Yeah, it's just growing exponentially.
And how are these transactions made? Like, let's say you want to be an influencer. You've got like, I don't know what the threshold, I've heard as low as like 10,000, but the main threshold I think is somewhere around 50,000, at least on Instagram. How do you get to a point where you're working with brands? Like, is this more like a platform play, or you're going through an agency? You're getting signed to like almost like a like a talent agency. How's that transactioning happening?
I think a couple of different ways. If you're talking about the folks that, sort of are more of the micros, they do tend to be reliant on third-party platforms, mostly like matching platforms that marketers will come to try to search and try to at least sort of narrow in on maybe who are individuals that they should be working with or look at working with. So that's definitely one area where deal flow comes in as you grow and become more popular, right, and gain your followers. There are a lot of really great talent management companies. DBA is one that comes to mind. Gleam, Edition are other ones that come to mind. Certainly some of the bigger, ICM, WME, but those are usually reserved for those that are, have grown a pretty substantial size following. So, and then there was always the traditional route where very early on there were multi-channel networks for YouTube content creators, and that still is obviously going with a couple really heavyweights like Fullscreen or a Whistle, someone like that. But mostly it really is a lot of third party. So the content creator is sort of using various agents, salespeople, managers who are contracting with brands.
And with $3 billion and growing, that opens up to a lot of potential for fraud. And that kind of segues into what your company does. How did you get the idea for your company?
Listening, the art of listening, listening to content creators' challenges and frustrations, listening to marketers' challenges and frustrations. And what it really boiled down to for us here at Silo and one of my other business partners was just that, again, listening and saying, so if I hear this is sort of this pain point, right? We don't have a way, we haven't had a handshake yet on the same analytics and the same rating system and measurement system, which is to be expected, right? Given that the marketplace is still very new and it's expanding. But again, now that we've sort of hit those thresholds of billions of dollars, marketers naturally are saying, okay, we're spending a lot more money. And like anything, when you spend a lot more money on something, what do we all do the same thing, right? We all pay a little more attention to what's going on. And certainly when stories come out talking about fraud and fake follower accounts and bots and all that under erodes the trust, right, that is being formed with marketers, because now they're thinking, well, am I being sort of duped? They had no way previous to this, right, to really measure the effectiveness of influencer marketing by and large. So now this comes out and it's kind of like almost sort of reaffirming some things when we're really talking about spot cases. I mean, this is not a by and large massive thing that is happening amongst the industry, and it's a secret with content creators.
So what does your company specifically do? Let's say I'm a influencer agency. What's kind of your elevator pitch to me about what you can offer me?
We're third-party verification and measurement for influencer marketing. We like to say the elevator is think Nielsen ratings for influencers, right, for influencer marketing. And the reason for that is that studying any form of media, every other form of legitimate media, right, established media, has these entities. They have these sources. Brands trust them because they know they don't sell inventory. They don't have a dog in the show, right? And conversely, what we do is, we really make sure that the content creators have a safe and secure way to share data that they need to with their business partners, the brands. So really what we're coming in again is providing that third-party verification and measurement system so that the ecosystem of influencer marketing can really start to thrive, right, around transparency, verification, and really making sure that those content creators that really truly yield influence rise to the top and make it really visible for their brand partners, to be doing better and longer term business with them.
And so is it like you have a proprietary platform and it's just a matter of like plugging in your like your Instagram or whatever credentials, and then it plugs right into it and starts doing like analysis of their followers, or what's the actual like mechanism for how it works?
Yeah, so we deliver a product. So when they're signing up, it's an invite only platform for content creators. But as they sign up, we're giving them this product that allows them to see all that, their data and information. And you're right, they go in and they give us an opportunity and a read only to be able to access that data from those social platforms at which they produce content and have handles or channels on. We then internally are able to analyze all that information that is happening that really is, again, for a content creator, it can be difficult to read and really get a very good understanding of, why did that post do so well, but this one didn't, right? And helping them understand their creative strategy, helping set benchmarks for them and saying, okay, look, you talk about a lot of different subjects with your audience. Here are the top 5 subjects. And when you talk about food and family and travel and sports, it's off the charts. Like, that's what your audience loves. When you sort of this do-it-yourself and how-to and other tutorials are doing, they're not really interested in that, and we can help them. We're able to help a content creator improve their performance of their content by 20%.
But so you're an analytics company that really kind of dives into that, but you also, based on my reading of it, though, you also help brands that are wary of getting tricked into hiring an influencer who has like a large bot following. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's obviously the unfortunate side, but the way our technology works and the machine and the various data sciences that we deploy allows us to detect what we call suspicious activity on an account. And because we're observing and because we actually link in with the creator and we gain all the proper consent, which is a very big thing happening with GDPR right now, actually gaining the consent to access this data. In the way that we're observing it, looking at it, computing against it, we're able to quickly tell when any sort of, quote, bot, fraud, suspicious activity is on an account and flag that for our brand partners. And really what we do there is we say, we just deliver the report. So here's what's going on. Here's what our system found. And allow that person, that marketer or agency person to make a decision as to, is this an acceptable amount? Is this an unacceptable amount of bot fraud traffic on this account? And allow them. We don't play the role of making the call. We just want to supply the information.
So so you say that you don't establish the what the the acceptable number of bots are, but I'm guessing that every single, like, I know for a fact that as a Twitter user I have like a little over 6,000 followers, that there's got to be a pretty decent percentage of those that are bots. What is kind of the industry standard of what's acceptable for bots, do you think?
I think most marketers have different tolerances. I think again, you hit the proverbial nail on the head. There's bots are everywhere. What we're focused on and what marketers are focused on is not so much as, well, how much is necessarily sitting on there. It's sort of was the intent from the account holder to manipulate their follower account, manipulate their engagement on their post, because that's very different, right? From, the way chatbots work. I mean, you could be doing absolutely nothing wrong, and yet you've got chatbots on your account. Right? Like you were talking about. That's in essence what you're saying. And so again, marketers are much more, and we're much more interested and our system is much more designed to spot when again it's being manipulated on purpose, and that is fraud. So that's how we really approach it, and marketers do.
And are you guys like a SaaS company? Like, are you charging like a monthly fee for clients who use it, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we are a service, a software as a service for marketers, agencies, even vendors. Influencer networks are utilizing us now to, again, third-party report and obviously solve a lot of their own challenges around just data collection and analyzation, and they want to be better businesses. So that's the business model over there. And for creators, it's free. There's no commitment. We really just wanted to make it, again, a safe and secure way for them to see all their information. And more importantly, when they need to data share, because they need to when they're doing business with their brand partners, again, just providing a very, again, clear and transparent way that they can safely share that data behind those branded posts with those external parties. While again having the added benefit of really understanding actually how you're being evaluated. Not to sort of digress too much, but that's another one of these pain points that we're really going after, which is, a content creator, an influencer does a campaign, they don't know how the brand is actually evaluating the work that they did. So one of the things around our product is really opening that up, right? So that you as the content creator understand, okay, I just worked with Axe body spray. I thought the campaign went pretty well. But now I can see the same information and know the same key performance indicators and goals and objectives that Axe's and the brand management team is looking at. Now I can look at the same. And boy, isn't that a lot easier to do business when you can understand how impactful you've been versus what, the client is trying to achieve with you.
And what are the telltale signs that an influencer has mostly a bot following? Like, how sophisticated are these bots?
They can be pretty sophisticated, though. The newer ones on Instagram are loops. And what they are is, so a lot of marketers will work with Instagrammers, and they'll part of the campaign that they want to do, and part of the content that they want to promote is maybe like a sweepstakes or some sort of giveaway that the brand is doing, and is requesting that the content creator sort of obviously post that and talk about it. And what the content creators are doing, and some have said the ones that we've found using this and are inflating their numbers have said that they were unaware that this was happening, is that they go to these loop companies, and these loop companies help them promote, quote, this loop to new audiences to, again, drive more engagement. But the thing that they're doing is they're making obviously a person who does engage with it, they have to then follow that content creator, which means you're buying the follower, right? And that's not what the marketer wants, right? That's fraud. You're now buying, your followers. And unfortunately, obviously, those followers are coming in areas that they're not very valuable in the sense of, if I live in New York City and a bunch of my followers are from, Shanghai, maybe it's probably not correct, right?
But are those people from Shanghai? Are they actually using Instagram and actually like viewing the content, or they're just setting up the accounts, following them, and that's kind of it?
Yeah, no, they're like shadows. So the influencer will go to a loop company that are out there, right? And they'll partner with that loop company for a certain amount of promotions. So in essence, it's just a different way to buy followers. That's all it is. It's just a different way to buy the follower. And it looks like you're, helping amplify or put more promotion behind a sweepstakes or loop on Instagram. But all it is just a backdoor way of, again, padding, your followers, which are not real,
But in that case, they're not bots, though. In that case,
well, no, I mean, they're exactly. So the bots are more of the chat bots and the engagement. So the other different things that they're doing, more of what we were talking about. So going to other different companies, right, and saying, and we see this actually, right, because we're able to understand the organic nature of a post from, before you post it, 5 minutes after you post it, 10 minutes after you post it, right? Like we see the whole evolution of that post. And the way bots work is you immediately get all of your activity within the moment you post it. And that's not organic, right? And so our system sees that, flags it, and it's like, nope, here's what's happened. Those are bots. That's all bots right there, because that's not human activity.
So the bots aren't just following an account; they're also doing more like generating like fake engagement and stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely. They're liking it, they're commenting on it, and they're driving up the quote engagement, because engagement rate in the influencer world is a very commonly used, we'll call it metric, to understand. Well, great, this person has 50,000 followers. What is their engagement, per post? So in that instance, what they're doing, right, is just taking their likes and their comments and dividing it by their follower account. And naturally, if you have a lot of likes and comments on your post to your follower account, marketers are going to see that. That's going to help you get more brand deals. Just as having a higher follower account will help you get more brand deals and get a higher rate, because again, you have quote unquote more reach for that marketer. So you see these sort of variables are impacting. So what is happening is, because marketers have overvalued reach and overvalued this engagement rate, what's happened on the other side is naturally to inflate those two metrics, right? To get more money.
And are there signs that like they're going to get more sophisticated? Like there might be a delay in terms of the likes and engagement so that they're harder to detect?
Look, I mean, I think where there's a will, right, everyone is always going to try and continue to, say, game the system, or we like to say stuff it. But through the access we have and the way that we do it and the machine learnings and data sciences that we deploy, we're on top of it. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why we don't scrape, amongst many other reasons, because you're now just taking someone's data that never gave you permission for that. We didn't believe in that. We sort of believed that we took the harder path, which is going to the accountant or the content creator and saying, here's what we offer, here's why we offer it. But we're not going to do anything unless you give us consent, right? Now, marketers, right, who have a lot of suspicions, going back to bots and fake followers, are mandating that the creators that are being pitched to them before they go to market with anybody are really wanting to get an accurate readout so that they can make a decision on these things that we're talking about before they actually purchase, and then of course go to market live with this person.
Is there a defense to be said for people who buy the bot following? Like, can it spur like a real following? Like I feel like there's data out there that people are attracted to things that already have large numbers of followers. Like I've seen data and heard anecdotally from YouTubers that it's a lot easier to get from 1,000 to 2,000 followers than it was to get to 0 to 1,000, just because once you have those 1,000 followers, and they use that as like a signal that you're worth following. Like, is there anything to the idea that like buying 50,000 bot followers will help me get more legitimate followers?
We have not seen that. We have not seen that sort of carries over into a more consistent audience. And what we've seen much more successful, right, is again taking cues from previous media generations. Is market yourself. Advertise. If you want to get your message out there a little bit more, there are lots of other things you can do that are marketing tactics. Can be paid tactics, like to actually pay and amplify your content the right way. That has far greater impact. And what I think we're starting to see now is this pendulum swing from, how many subscribers or followers do you have? And this to really digging in and realizing that number is not a number that they should be looking and not saying that it doesn't have any value. It just shouldn't be a key performance indicator of working or not working with a content creator. So I think, overall, we're starting to see more of a natural uptick happening, right? Growing.
So you're saying do the work, don't take the shortcuts.
Yeah, don't take the shortcut. There's no need. In the end, you want to have as connected and tight of a fan base as you can. That is your value. That is the lifeblood. That is why a brand will come to you and say, you actually really do have influence, not just that you have followers or perceived followers, right? Because that's a big thing that's happening. I think, where the challenge comes, right, is we've got a new industry with primarily younger people who haven't had some of the experiences of, say, working in television or working in print or radio, other, longstanding forms of media, and a better understanding of just how marketing and media is bought and sold overall. And I think ultimately that's, again, coming back full circle to this notion of don't take the shortcut. Like there's measurements can be in place, verifications can be in place. If you want to play the long game, like build this the right way. If you look at the most successful, sort of online content creators, they're ones that, some of them have been on YouTube and other places for a decade now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And doing it the right way. Yeah, doing it the right way.
So when you look at how the media covers bots, most of the attention has been given to Twitter bots, especially like around the election, Russian bots. A lot less attention to Instagram bots. I don't know if there's a bot question, and you can tell me if there's a bot problem outside those two networks. Do you think Instagram is basically getting a free pass because of all this attention on Twitter?
No, I think Instagram is more heavily amongst in the influencer world, because Instagram is by and large, I want to say, over 90% of primary influencer marketing is going to that channel. Meaning, even if I'm going to a YouTuber who has a great channel and I'm going to work with, I'm still going to purchase that individual's Instagram account. So by per capita, in terms of placements, paid, influencer placements, Instagram is head and shoulders above everyone else, and therefore is the most used and is the most scrutinized now one of all the platforms.
And do other platforms, do they have a bot problem? Like, is there a YouTube bot problem? Is there a Snapchat bot problem?
It's not, well, Snapchat, we don't know, because unfortunately there is no API to get in and actually gain consent and access channel level analytics and data. We're hopeful that at some, soon that Snapchat will make that, those APIs available as the others have. But no, I think ultimately, YouTube is just a different experience. I mean, Instagram, there's still certainly, on Facebook, subscriber account and driving that subscriber account up. And, but the way you're incentivized on YouTube, specifically because of their monetization practice, is not really around how many followers you have at all. It's really about your watch time. So how long your followers are watching your content. And that's just something, that you can't sort of manipulate with a bot to drive a follower count up or a bot to like a post, right? Those economics are a little bit harder, if you will, to gain.
Okay. Well, Eric, those were all the questions I had for you. Where can people find you?
Yeah. If you want to check out and learn more, it's meet Sylo, SYLO.com.
Great. Well, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun.
Same here. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Okay. That's all I have for you today. Be sure to subscribe to the Business of Content on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. See you next week.